When it comes to SEO, page speed can be a factor in how Google ranks you in the search results. But with local SEO, page speed really only comes into play depending on your competition. If your site is really, really slow though, that's going to hurt you regardless. But if it feels pretty quick to you, the only disadvantage is if your competitors or even other businesses in a similar industry are serving their site up significantly faster. Basically, Google's going to check the speed in which your site loads, and that site load is going to factor in everything from your style sheets, the images, and any external requests that are made by your website to other sites such as Facebook or Twitter. And what it does is it takes those results and compares that to your neighborhood of websites. And then if you're ranking average or above average on that baseline, there's probably not a penalty. But if you're an outlier, and you're pretty slow compared to other sites in your neighborhood, then you're going to see a decrease in rank. Another thing Google does is checks the user experience. It can determine if your user experience is good, and that's things like what content is above the fold, how big your buttons are on mobile, and if the site is responsive, and so on. Focusing on user experience will impact your SEO, and that's because Google wants to drive traffic to sites that visitors will stay on. And visitors tend to stay on sites that are built around their needs and how they want to navigate the web. Now, I'm a big fan of making things better any chance I get. The better I can make it for Google, the better it is for my users, and the better I tend to expect the outcomes. With page speed and user experience, it's worth it to get above average because as the landscape changes and as your competitors advance in their technology, it's great to be ahead of the curve. So there's a lot that goes into page speed, and most of it is fairly technical. But I do want to show you a few tools that you can use, which not only are going to share some problems that your site has, but they're going to link you to resources where you can dig deeper into how to resolve those on your own. And the first page is provided by Google, and it's called Google Page Speed Insights. And you're going to find this tool at developers.google.com/speed/pagespeed, and I'm on this page now. You can also just do a Google search for Google Page Speed. They have a tool for analyzing your site online, and they also have a Chrome extension you can install. I'm going to just look at the online view, and you'll find a link to that under Analysis, and then here the first link, Analyze Your Site Online. On this page, we simply need to enter in the URL that we want some insights on. Now earlier, we were looking at a page specifically about Big Sur, and I could enter that URL here, but I'm going to just start with our homepage, explorecalifornia.org. And that's because this is not only the first page that Google's likely to come to, but it should give us a sense of how the rest of the site is performing. Once you've entered in the URL, simply choose Analyze here on the right. It takes just a minute, and Google's going to come back with some great results. Now, we start out in the mobile tab, and mobile is becoming more and more popular, so it's really important that you also focus on your mobile experience. The first thing Google's going to do is give us a grade here on our mobile user experience. In this case, we score a 63%, and it's red because that's basically failing. What they're doing here is recommending some things we should fix. Use legible font sizes, size tap targets appropriately, and if we were curious what they meant, we could click the Show How to Fix link, and we'll get a drop-down with all the examples. So here, the tap target, and then it explains which tap target in the code it's looking at, is too small. And we can look at that by choosing See Screenshot. And over here on the right, it's going to highlight the areas on the page that have that problem. Now you can scroll down to read all about the other issues, such as avoiding plugins. You can even take a look at the rules that you passed to see what you're doing well. Below that, we'll see the score for speed. And in this case, we have an A. I mean, a 90 out of 100 is great, and we probably won't need to do much here. But if we're really focused and we have some time, we can come back and look at these issues that they consider fixing. And again, just as we did before, we can choose the Show How to Fix link and read a little bit more about how to resolve that issue. I'm going to scroll back to the top and choose Desktop. Here, we can see that we're actually doing really well on desktop, 96 out of 100 overall, and there's a few suggestions. We should eliminate some JavaScript issues, we might want to optimize images, so on and so forth. And again, just as we saw in mobile, you can look below at the past rules to see what you're doing well. Another great tool that goes even more in depth is called YSlow. And YSlow is part of the Yahoo Developer Network, but the information gained here is really top-notch. You do have to install an extension on your browser, and you'll do that by first visiting developer.yahoo.com/YSlow. From here, you'll select the browser that you have and follow the prompts to install the plugin. Now, I've already gone ahead and installed it, and we can see it because it's this little icon in the upper right-hand corner of my screen that looks like a speedometer. And how we use it is first we need to go to our site that we want to analyze. I'll go back to explorecalifornia.org, and then I'll simply click the icon. What's going to happen is it's going to bring up a window, and we have the option here to run the test. So I'll choose Run Test. And in just a minute, it's going to bring back a ton of results. Here it's going to give us an overall grade, and this is great. A grade of an A is something that is definitely worth striving for. But we can notice that we have a few Fs here under Use a Content Delivery Network and Use Cookie-Free Domains. But those are very low priority, and that's why we get an A overall. If you have a lot of SEO efforts underway, I wouldn't stress too much on the speed performance portion. I'd really save this for when you've got things dialed in and you're ready to start refining. Take your time and fix things as you go. Just as we saw with the Google tool, in YSlow, we can drill into each idea and then read more to learn how we can resolve that problem. Some of the easiest fixes are usually just to use smaller images to help reduce your overall load times, fix errors with any third-party plugins, or maybe resolve a JavaScript file that's running errant. You do want your site to load quickly for your user, so take a look both at Google PageSpeed Insights and YSlow to identify the errors that will have the biggest impact on your speed. And then come back and work through some of the others that you've got a moderate grade for.